Jamie?
Be advised that proper notice has been given by the Township Council in accordance with the Sunshine Law in the following manner. Notice advertised in the Billings County Times and Canton Courier Post on January 4th, 2019, and posted on the bulletin board on the same date. Mr. Lyon?
Here.
Mr. Romero?
Here.
Ms. Correa?
Here.
Mr. Burrell?
Here.
Mr. Ketchum?
Here. So first we have a couple of items on our action meeting. We have resolution. And this is resolution 2019-85. This is a resolution authorizing the release of police outside employment escrow, PD 19-03. Have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Romero?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mr. Ketchum?
Aye. Next, I need a motion to approve the payment of bills, including all purchases made under the cooperative purchasing agreement.
Motion. Second.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Romero?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mr. Ketchum?
Aye. Next, I need a motion granting a mercantile license to the following businesses: A&L Wholesale of America Corp., 207A-11 Carriage Lane; Catherine's Auto Network LLC, 150-15 Carriage Lane; Skyline Motors Inc., 207A-16 Carriage Lane; KQ Auto LLC, 207-9 Carriage Lane; Surf Sisters Auto Sales LLP, 207A-12 Carriage Lane; Car Automotive LLC, 209 Carriage Lane; J&J Auto Leasing, 209A-6 Carriage Lane; White Ask Motors LLC, 150-16 Carriage Lane; and On the Grill, 4000 Route 130 North, Suite 26.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Romando?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mr. Ketchum?
Aye. So we have several items on the agenda that Jeff's prepared memos for, first of which being Public Works employee situation. And Jeff, this is close to you. I'm going to let you explain it fully.
Each year we normally fund about appropriate $32,000 for temporary and/or summer help for the Public Works Department. It has been getting difficult to get summer help that are capable of doing certain jobs. You have to be certain ages to be able to do certain functions. The Public Works Superintendent, in discussion with me, has recommended that we, instead of doing part-time or temporary, that we hire another full-time employee for the 2019 year. For the 2019 year, there's zero impact on the budget. There's sufficient funds. We're hiring middle of the year almost. By the time we get the person in, next year there would probably be an additional $10,000 increase on the overall budget. There are two other extenuating circumstances that are going on right now. One is we have an employee who's on light duty recovering from an occupational illness, and we have another employee who is out on a leave of absence due to a catastrophic health issue, who we're not sure who's going to be returning or not. So the Public Works Department is short of employees. We've had 15 employees. It's actually the same number of employees that we had before both the Grand and Summerhill were built. Before Community Park was built, we've been doing it with the same number of employees, but we desperately need to add another employee. It gives them a lot more options, and we'd like to see it move forward. But we recognize it has a financial impact next year.
So the impact that you're talking about, this is something that's not going to have an impact actually on certainly on this year's budget, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And next year it will be, you estimate it to be approximately $10,000 in next year's budget. But maybe by next year we'll have the people who are retiring or...
We have one employee who's going to retire at year end. We have another employee who we expect to separate from service. The other employee we expect to return to full. So, of course, you really came to show you have another second bite of the apple to determine whether or not you want to add the employee.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to tell you, the way we are right now with the
coverage that we have for not only throughout the town, but also the requests for all the parks and everything that we've been asked for. I'll just let you know right now, they're very short-handed now, and with the, it seems like the more that we add, like, in other words, we fix up parks and we want to maintain parks, or possibly improve parks, like maybe Leon or whatever other parks, we're going to need to staff up a little bit more because we're definitely running short, and it's impacting us everywhere. That's just my comment on it.
Thank you. So it sounds to me like it's not gonna have an impact on this year, and we're likely gonna have to hire people next year anyway. Seems like a pretty safe bet. Anybody have any questions, council? Seeing no questions, what would you need from us to move forward?
Just an okay.
Are we okay? I see a nodding of heads.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so, okay. Sounds good. We don't need to do anything, Alan?
Not at this point. If the position's going to be created, if we're going to move forward, it's just, you just need a resolution at the next public meeting to do so.
Okay. There's a note in that meeting. Good. All right, so next, we have, this is summer help, but not related.
This is different.
This is different. This is for the summer
camp.
Yeah,
These
I
are
was
the
gonna say.
individuals who work for the summer camp. Our current salary ordinance that we had last year does not provide for the new minimum wage. So we're looking for a salary ordinance, and then you'll adopt a salary resolution that'll set the exact salary. But this would provide for the range so that we can meet the minimum wage for the Delran summer camp.
Seems fine, within the same parameters basically as last year. Okay. So, we need to pass this ordinance, put this on the public meeting. We need to pass it tonight.
Yeah, you can do it on public meetings.
Okay. Council, any questions, problems, issues, stories you'd like to tell? So would you put that on the agenda as well? Okay, next on the agenda is a change to the ordinance that determines positions eligible for a defined contribution retirement program. And we have marked that up to include and exclude a few people. Sorry, Jim, sorry, Alan, that you're not on the list anymore. And by the way, elected officials are not on the list really because we're all, at least all of council is on part-time and not grandfathered in from the old way.
Yes, this would be if you exceeded $5,000.
Right, right.
So further to that point, Jeff did reach out with this memo to me earlier today, and as I've noted, the municipal engineer, municipal prosecutor, that's not an issue. They're paid through the voucher system. They're not even on the payroll, so taking them off is not a problem. However, it's not clear to me what kind of position the municipal Delran Sewage Authority was prior to this.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't even exist. That's my understanding. I would just confirm with the local finance board that they're comfortable with that coming off, but I don't see that being an issue. The only thing I saw in the notes, which I assume, Jeff, were they drafted by the CFO?
Correct.
So the addition of municipal court administrator for DSRP eligibility, it's my understanding the local finance board's actually determined that they're not eligible and that that's a PERS position.
It's actually, they're adding the construction code official. Oh, actually,
I'm sorry, okay, so we are on the same page. Yeah, so I would just confirm again with the local finance board because they tend to issue non-binding advisory opinions because this pertains to their regulations.
Okay.
And the same goes for the crossing guard and zoning officer. I would just request an advisory interpretation from them. And finally, for the construction code officials, those construction code officials who hold a professional license or certificate and serve in such capacity, they're exempt from DCRP and they're permitted to join or remain in PERS.
The reason, and just so everybody knows, the reason crossing guards are added and they weren't in there is before, when this came in 2008, they didn't earn the $5,000 minimum. They now do, most of them do. So we have to add them. Once they get $5,000, they have to be covered by one of the pension systems, so that's why they're involved. Okay,
Yep.
we'll make those changes and we'll touch base with you again before we introduce it to the council.
Sounds good?
Okay, so we're revisiting, actually something that I wasn't here the first time for, just one of the sewer billing adjustment requests. And Jeff, why don't you explain that to
Sure.
us?
There was a question on number one. The way it's written, it's a little bit confusing, is that what the issue is the tax collector is not recommending that we make any adjustment. The adjustment that's on here, 2018 billing, was already adjusted in 2018, and the water consumption for last year that this bill for this year was based upon reflects just exactly what they were billed for, so there's no recommendation to adjust it. So all the others you had already authorized adjustments for, and they're going to be on the public meeting. This one, we would not be recommending an adjustment.
Any questions? Okay, that sounds good. And so much for the easy ones. Okay, thank you. Just put them all at the top so we feel like we're moving right along. So next we have a question and a request from the folks at the Grand to address their concerns regarding speeding. And it's good that we have Jim here as well. There was a request put in and a speed study done, and I'm going to, do you want to address this, or Jim?
I'll start and then turn it over to Jim and Al. But I had received a request for a speed survey. Actually, I received a request for putting in speed humps, for putting in stop signs, as well as some other items on Grand Boulevard and on Castleton. I advised the individual from the Homeowners Association that the past policy hasn't been to address items that way with speed humps and controlling speed in that manner. But they had requested that a speed survey be done. So once the winter ended and we could get the speed survey information out there, we did have the police department do their speed survey, and attached to the memorandum is the results of both the Grand Boulevard and also Castleton. And I don't know, Al, do you want to walk the council through the results of the speed survey?
Yeah, there isn't a huge problem. I don't think there's a huge problem with that. And what, I think you could put percentile was 25 miles per hour.
Right.
Chief, could you just speak a little louder?
So
We're having trouble.
85% of the cars are going.
It's 33 actually.
I'm sorry?
It's 33.
It's 33. 85% of the cars are going 33 miles per hour or slower. So I think we can do some enforcement out there on the slow down we have. There isn't an issue at all on Castleton.
Yeah, and I was just saying, the reality is, everybody knows it's usually about, you got like a 10-mile-an-hour cushion before, enforcement takes place. I would imagine, I don't know if the our police deal with the same type of issues. This is not an uncommon issue in many other municipalities. I don't see any real numbers that stand out. If you had 10% of the people were driving over 35 miles an hour, maybe, that would be a concern, but here you only have like 5, and that's only, you're always gonna have that no matter what you do.
Right. And I know it happens, the perception is each individual's. I have some folks that, I live on in essence, a 3-block long street, and my side, and a 1-block long street, and my side street, I feel like people are doing 100 miles an hour. And they're probably doing 35 or 40, even so, it's still fast, but it always feels like those are the ones you see, you don't notice the ones.
Yeah, it's hard. People always think people are going faster than they really are too, especially if you're walking in the opposite direction or standstill.
But the
So
oth-
25, 30 is if you're in a stop position and somebody's driving, it's not, it
Yeah.
looks faster than everything else.
The other issue is, I mean, I think that this is commonplace, I mean, throughout our town, plus also throughout other towns, but I was, during Easter, I was actually on Greenbrier, and there's some, you know, people that drive faster than others, and you see it, but unfortunately, you got a mixture. But it was noticeable that sometimes people do drive a little bit faster. And if you see them, I know I usually say, try to slow down. You know, I know they don't like you telling them that, but unfortunately, if you live on the block, you try telling them that, you know, they should slow down in the neighborhood a little. But
So as a council, both this council and prior councils, as far back as I've been attending these meetings for 20 years, have indicated that we don't look for speed bumps necessarily to ever really address these things. The only time we've ever put them in place was near a school with Yancey and Moreland, where they were speed humps, and they were there because it was a serious issue. There's no curbing and no sidewalks, and it's all curve and wooded. So in the fall, when those leaves are wet, it was really a problem. They were added at that point. But that's the only place we do that, and they typically, you know, above and beyond all the regular reasons like the plows and all the other issues,
Emergency response.
emergency response is impacted. It's just not the best move for that.
It was.
The discussion in the memo was that it's not a through street, but if you look at it on a map, if those aren't through streets, what are through streets? And
It's defined
It's
as
a-
a through street
yeah.
on that code too.
The code references as a through street in the way to establish the stop signs. In reality, its best definition is a collector roadway. It takes the traffic from the arterial roadways, Creek Road and Hartford, and distributes them to the local residential street, which they allow. So, yeah, speed humps are typically geared towards residential streets, residential access streets. This is a little bit higher order.
right.
Now, Castleton, if they're asking for, Castleton's a little bit of a different story. It is private. So you technically don't have too much jurisdiction there. And if they wanted to add stop signs or speed humps on Castleton, they should go to the planning board, because that's who has jurisdiction over it. It's a multifamily development, and
But the percentage over the limit was 0.4%, less than
yeah, I
half
didn't
of
see
a
the speed study
percent.
for Castleton, but,
That's right here, it's right here in the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry,
According
what's
to
that?
this chart, it says that the percentage that were over the posted speed limit was less than 0.5%. So I get it. I get that they feel like it's necessary, but it sure didn't indicate that.
I guess the point is, Castleton's also a private roadway, and you don't own it and you don't maintain it. So unless you have an ordinance saying speed humps are restricted on a private road, you really don't have much to say. And if they want to make amendments to their infrastructure, they technically have to go to a planning board, being a multifamily use.
And
So it would be up to the planning board to approve or deny it based on their consultants from their engineer or an emergency service.
And they maintain Castleton and Hawthorne and whatever they are.
Yeah, all those streets.
And they maintain them as far as through the winter time and stuff like that, does not.
Correct, I believe so, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, then,
So if they want to do it, they have to go to planning and get the approval, and then they
From
would
the
pay.
planning board, yeah.
And then they would pay.
and
They would pay
and they
for-
maintain
yeah,
it
the whole
anyhow.
thing.
So when if they have to plow it, they'd have to remove the humps and do whatever they gotta do.
Yeah, and the planning board would be the determining authority whether to approve it or not, based on the advice from, they usually get advice from the fire marshal and then their engineer.
And any approvals granted by the planning board will also be contingent on outside agency approval. So to the extent that this in any way impacts anything that's considered a state highway issue, they'd have to get approval from the commissioner of highway as well.
Okay, so that applies to Castleton only.
That, yeah, and then
That
the
applies to
brand,
the Grand
I mean, the Grand's a pretty long, wide road. I mean, the amount of speed humps you would probably need in to get any sort of noticeable difference would be quite significant. Plus with that, there's striping, there's signage, there's noise.
Is the Grand our road or their
Yeah,
road?
Grand
So
Boulevard.
the Grand is ours, but Castleton is still private.
Correct.
The townhouses and condo roads
Oh, right,
are.
Yeah, the multifamily areas.
right. But we still enforce,
You enforce everywhere,
Yes.
yes.
yeah.
And I would just add, I've of course deferred to chief on enforcement issues and to the township engineer on what indeed is required by the manual on uniform traffic control devices, but to the extent that Jim doesn't believe that this would improve public highway safety in that area, any ordinance that we would adopt to institute signage in that area, he'd have to certify that this would be an improvement and in compliance with the MU TCD, and he's basically already indicated in his email that he doesn't believe it is.
Okay. Seems to make our decision pretty easy. Because we can't really justify from a safety perspective. So, just do nothing, do you want to get back to them and let them know that they want to do Castleton, they can do
When there's Castleton, there's three of
the
them.
process.
Couple.
Well, the only thing I see.
No, they're only asking about
Okay.
Castleton.
Yeah, Castleton's kind of cut.
Did they ever
Right,
indicate,
right, the one all the way through, yeah.
like the HOA property manager's making the request, right?
Yes.
Did they ever indicate like who's triggering them to make that
A resident.
a resident? Yeah, see, not a
Well,
lot of
I don't
times.
know if it's more than one, but.
Well, yeah, a lot of times you end up upsetting more people than you are making them happy because then you have that speed hump on
Actually,
the road.
the
that-
speed humps, yeah. Plus if you're near them.
Yeah, and
Well,
then
that'd be on the
you got the
association.
signs and the striping all in front of your house now, and you're like, well, why is this?
Yeah. Yep.
Not the experience here, but from talking to other managers, a lot of times the speed humps that go in, come out as soon as the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
ones that are near.
It
them
is a very
get the
subjective
noise and
matter,
the
you know, there really is
vibrations.
nothing that says, you know, how much is too much, but just from,
And that is the general consensus. Nobody wants a speed hump in front of their house because it's a noise
Yeah.
concern as well, and it presents its own safety concerns as well.
and
Oh, yeah.
You could, if you have the funds available, pay for 25 miles per hour, speed limit on the street, if you did on Kingsville Road.
Yeah, that was a suggestion the chief maybe we can look into and see, to at least help with the issue on Grand Boulevard.
Yeah.
And the METCD says you just make it 30 or 35 miles an hour, so they're not.
Sometimes when
Technically,
you ask a question, you don't get the answer you want.
So there's, speed limits are basically established based on the 85th percentile. Whatever the people, the traveling public on that road is, how fast they're going, the 85% of them, that's the speed limit you're supposed to actually post on the road.
Do you guys feel that that marking would help on the Grand? Just marking?
I think so. I think so.
You do? Maybe we want to entertain that for the Grand?
I mean,
Grand
it's
Boulevard.
no guarantee.
Yeah, but how much, it can't hurt?
It can't hurt.
How much will it cost?
We'll find out.
Paint, cement out.
It's worth talking
It's a
about.
couple grand usually for a day to get a strip up there for a day.
Have we seen,
You got Boy Scouts?
so, have we seen an impact on the speeds on Tempe Chase Drive with that?
You know, if I brought it in, or you said something about it before, maybe they did the speed survey before and after.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, you did do a speed survey before, right? On Tempe Chase Drive?
we have to pay in the past,
Yeah.
but I mean, right after you paint it, that's when it's most effective.
Could we do that and see? I mean, I think after a couple of years, people would just become a part of the road and wouldn't notice it. Like it works for a couple months when it's new and then it just, when
There's
it's there,
certainly,
you
there's
know?
certainly no argument about the speed when you
Yeah.
stop a car.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
I say we give it a try and let's see how it works. And then we make a determination after the fact, maybe we do a study after,
Why
see the impact.
Why can't we do a study on Tempe Chase and see if
Yeah,
we have a before,
Oh, I'm not-
get an
I'm not-
after,
I
and
have
then
no
see if
problem
it works?
with
I like that. Let's see, so how long has Tempe Chase been? Over a year, right? Yeah. So why don't we do a study on Tempe Chase Drive and see if it's gonna have an impact, if it's got an impact still?
Yeah, well,
Because
okay.
short term, yeah,
gonna work
it's
short
like
term.
standing out there waving to people, or those, the signs that get people's attention. As soon as the signs are up for a month, nobody sees the signs anymore, or the signs come down, and then, so can we do that? You wanna do that?
Yeah.
So let's do
You
that.
figure there's speeding still in town? there's, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm not, I got you.
Well, I think we talked
Maybe
about,
you guys are right, then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
what we've talked about before, when this speeding question came up, was that we would move the speed sign around town randomly, so then
Yeah.
you get that new, you know, it's on the
Yeah.
street for a couple of weeks, and then next thing you know, it's somewhere else. I think
Yeah.
that is more effective, at least in surprising.
That gets moved around because it gets requested all the time.
Yeah, well, I
It
mean,
does get moved around.
yeah, I think that's a good thing. I think that keeps people on their toes. Yeah.
It's a little,
How is it?
Disabled?
It is?
trying to get it working again.
We got that with a
Do
grant.
we only have one? Just one?
Yeah, we got that with a grant, didn't we?
Maybe we can get another grant.
See if we can get another grant.
Yeah.
Question, when you put that, I'll call it the roving speed limit sign up, when you move it and take it away, do you do an enforcement right afterwards?
Depends on the location.
Okay.
Well, you gotta remember where, when they are.
No, my point being is.
I'm kidding.
My
You're
point
talking
being
about
is,
The trailer or the survey?
the trailer.
Oh,
Yeah, because-
Depends on.
You're
Yeah,
right.
because
I agree.
you see the sign, you go, oh, yeah, and then
Hey.
the sign's gone.
They think they go quick again.
Right.
And then you would hammer them, yep.
Because there's the stretch on Summer Hill Drive where there's a lot of cars parked on both sides of the road.
Yep.
And people, it's 25, and they're going between 30 and 35. But because literally it becomes a standoff on cars, because there's no
Yeah,
place
slow
for
down.
people to tuck in.
Yeah.
And if they slowed down, you could see somebody maybe a little bit sooner and you have a little bit of leeway, you know? But it's generally early in the morning when people are not going to work or later in the evening when they're home. During the day, it's not that big of a problem, but because I back up to that road, I hear some choice yelling and screaming from motorists.
Sure. Sure. So let's do that. Let's do that.
Good idea.
We'll have the account, we'll have a speed study on Timmy Chase Drive, and then we'll see if it still impacts it, that signage, and we'll take it, and we'll take that as the next step. Okay? Anybody okay with that? Sounds good. Good. Okay. You want to talk about it?
Budget amendment?
Yeah, sure, we got a budget
Um,
amendment.
In reviewing the budget document that came from the auditor, there was something different in there from the detail sheets that we worked off of. And it had to do with the reimbursement for snow removal for condominiums. And what we need to do to address the issue is basically it was left off. It was in the detailed budget sheets, it did not make it onto the formal budget document. Looking essentially for $40,000. We can take it from surplus, and if we make it its own, actually after I wrote this memo, I recognized, if we make it its own line item, the process would be is to do a resolution after doing the public hearing on May 8th, is it? 7th. After doing the public hearing on May 7th, we could then end the public hearing on the budget as is, do a resolution to add that line item into the budget for a specific line item, and you can then adopt the budget that same night, because it would be less than 1% of the appropriations in the budget. We don't have to do the other set unless I put it back in the Public Works, street and roads budget, and quite frankly, that's caused a problem almost every third year. We have an issue with it being in there. So what we'd like to do is create its own line item. If we do that, then we can adopt the budget the same night.
What would we call that line item?
It'll be, we'll probably cite this section of the condo services law, but it'll be condo services law reimbursement.
Okay. I like that idea better than doing a full budget amendment.
For this particular year, $40,000 is going to be more than enough. There's been very, not a significant amount of money. I probably could have made what's in there work for this year, transferring things around. My problem is, or our problem would be going forward, we would have lost that appropriation, and then you would have to pretty much make it up next year if you had an average winter. So it's better to have it in there. If we get a tough winter in December, that money will still be there. There's no way of anticipating what that's going to be. Although most of our bills are usually January, February, and March, and they've been very strong this year.
So the plan would be that we move forward as is, at the public hearing, we have the public hearing, do a resolution, and then we adopt the budget with the change. And it sounds good. Does that sound all right to everybody? Any other questions? Absolutely, good, good. Looking for Tyler to nod, yes or no?
We'll just hand these out. I'll email these to you. They'll make more sense as an email because they're in color. This is the PowerPoint for the budget. It has a number of items besides just the budget information. Some of the budget information is pretty dry. And the best practices worksheet requires that I have certain elements in there, and that's why they're in there. And then we added some things in terms of accomplishments, just taking a look at some of the things that have happened in the past in terms of improvements to Conroe Road, mentioning the roads that are due to be reconstructed in this year's budget. And again, actually the website PowerPoint is a lot easier to follow and make some sense. I'd like to put this on the website by the end of the week. If anybody sees a problem with it between now and Friday, just let me know. Because I looked at it, Gary did see it, and made some suggestions. There are a couple pages that were changed, so.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I see it too much, so after a while, I don't see the problems with it. So, especially on the website, the email, take a look at it. And if you see any problems with it, let me know.
You have a question?
Never mind this. I was just going to ask for a pie chart on the total entities percentage, but it's 2 pages over.
And there's one page that looks a little weird in there. It's actually a video of Delran Night Out. There's actually a video in one of the PowerPoint pages. Yeah, let's see how this looks. The color makes a difference. Okay, so everybody take a look. Is it on the site? It's not on the site. It's not on the site, but I'll
We have
email
this
it.
via
I'll email it to you tonight.
Okay. That sounds good.
Thank you.
So, next and our final item on the agenda is a discussion of cameras and amplification for both the courtroom and council chambers. So, this is kind of an all-inclusive quote. Tyler and I have had a chance to review some of this. We had some questions and some suggestions. I'm not sure where we want to start. So let's just move on. You want to start? You have questions, or you want me to? So anyway, yeah, that's a good idea. So the only concern we had with putting 2 TVs, we'd like to kind of measure it out a little bit. The discussion was to put 2 TVs up on the soffits above.
Actually, it says 4, I think.
Well, I think
Right. But I think we can.
one on each side of the room and 2 over the
2 of them are on the
dais.
front, yeah, 2 of them are on the side.
So it would be kind of a side to side.
TVs, because they got
It would be
4
2.
49s, 2 65s, and another 65. So how many would be in the courtroom?
Right,
There'd be
so-
6 then?
6 in the courtroom, and the other one is 4 in here.
Yeah.
So, wait a minute, so I was looking at these line items individually. I think if we put the 249s up top and maybe 2 65s, and then we have something in here, I don't think we need 6
If
in
you
the
do,
courtroom.
if you do 265s, then either the back of the room's not gonna see it, or you guys aren't gonna see it. That's the problem. with that,
So,
too.
so where would the 65s go?
You go on the side wall, like right here, and they would come out.
For us
So
to
it looks
see.
like well, one of them would be facing towards
Oh,
the dais, and one of them would catch the second half of the room, because when we had the person come in with the TV, when you're middle of the room back, you cannot see a 49-inch TV.
Right.
Like, especially if we're talking about a planning board presentation.
Right.
I mean, we are concerned, we agree that it's gonna look like a sports bar.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of TVs, so it's just, this is what they were proposing in terms of, this would give you the most visibility in terms of being able to see things from the back of the room, from the front of the room, but whether or not you want to go this whole hog.
I mean, do we ever have the room that filled? you know, that we need to.
We have, I've been here for that. Mostly I was in the audience at the time, but, so there's a couple of things that are suggestions that maybe we do. For this item specifically, and being on planning, it's always an issue seeing, and even a 65 that's on the wall aimed at you, if you're on the far side, if you're looking at a TV over here, even a 65, you can't see it. My thought would be similar to a go-to-meeting, that if we could buy the piece of equipment that might be able to broadcast just within the Wi-Fi system, the free Wi-Fi system, that we could literally log on with a laptop or a tablet on the dais, and we could follow along, just like you would in a go-to-meeting or something like that, where you would be able to see it. And if, as a planning board member, you wanted to zoom in, you could zoom in even tighter than they want to be. They're showing the screen, and then if people wanted to come in with their laptops or whatever, they could do that as well. Certainly, there were some things that were in here about when we were streaming that they were talking about having them be on a retainer that would charge $400 a month.
They just threw that in there,
Yeah.
we didn't have an interest in that.
Yeah.
But they threw that in there.
So what I think we would want to do, and it may work as simply as logging on to the YouTube live stream, if we could stream this live from our own in-house system. I'm getting all geeky now. And then on the dais, you could watch that live stream that you could see on your computer, so that you could get it right here this close if you needed it to be. And maybe there's a lag of a few seconds or a second or two, but at least we would have the opportunity on the dais to be able to see close up. They don't move that fast in planning board. It's not like you're watching a video. It's pretty static until they change boards or whatever, or change slides. So I think maybe we want to look at this a little tighter, maybe with any suggestions that people have, and then we either get it re-quoted, and are they the only ones that quoted it?
They're the major go-to for municipal courtrooms, to
Right.
be honest with you. I mean, one of the things, you're gonna end up with a 65-inch TV because of the court requirements.
Right.
So there is gonna be one on the wall
Now,
over
is
there.
this over here, is that the True Touch interactive flat panel with video conferencing? That's in where here?
You asked for one in this room.
Right. So there'd be a 65 in here, and is one of these 65s, so we don't need video conferencing in here.
One of them's gotta be for the courtroom, though,
For
right,
the
Jeff?
courtroom.
One's for the mix of the courtroom.
So this says an option, the one for the courtroom, it's $8,000. And then one in here for $5,000 with no video conferencing, that makes sense. But so we're talking about 6 in there plus the court, plus 2 in here, that would be.
I don't think I think you get one for the whole system.
Sorry?
You would get one of these for the whole system.
For the court video
They're
conferencing
both
system?
connected. I mean, you wouldn't, this controls, if you want TVs on, you hit the button on that, and the TVs go on.
Is this the controller, or is this the television?
The option one is not the television, that's the,
It's not?
the
It
True Touch.
says 65, and we don't have access to the rest of the line here, and what,
Maybe
it seems to be
Jeff can
cut
find out
off.
exactly what.
Yeah, it's confusing because it says option one, that's the video conference, and the other one's with no video conference, but then what's the difference between either one of those, and then line 4 up top, it says 2 65-inch TVs on the sidewalls.
So
I'm not even sure, that's the interactive panel that says we're in the presentation, you click it, the TVs go to presentation mode, so you don't have to sit there with 6 remotes and go to input 2,
Right.
It's,
It would be on all, correct.
yeah,
So-
that's what that is, so that's, and I guess the option is either do you want it with video conferencing or do you want it without? That's the way I read it,
That's correct.
right?
So it's 8 TVs? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, one,
So there's 4, and then 2 for the courtroom, and then 1 more for this room, and then this flat panel with video conferencing for the court Well, I think we need to get the rest of this, what's hidden under, past the RO and the FLO.
You're gonna pick one of those true,
I'm not sure what you're
These
talking
True
about.
Touch, they're
Well,
televisions,
instead of
right?
doing this,
Yeah.
tell me what you want, because that'll be a lot easier than trying to dissect this, because
Right.
he presented what would provide TVs that you would be able to see for everybody in the courtroom.
Right.
You're talking about a system really that doesn't serve the public unless they come in with a laptop?
No, not at all. I'm talking about the ability for the people on the dais.
No, I know that,
To be able
but
to-
the people
No, no,
in the
no.
courtroom aren't on the dais.
Right, so they could stream it too, but,
That's what I said.
yeah, so, no, these
But there's
would
not
all
gonna
be.
be any
No,
TVs
there would
facing.
be. I'm not excluding that. I'm saying, this here, option one, are these are two different TVs?
You're going back to the same thing. What is it you want to
All right,
do
so-
in terms of TVs?
So, we need to have I'm concerned about the soffit TVs.
Right.
Although, point that was made is, the speaker is up in the front, nobody's looking at the speaker, everybody's looking at the TVs, which I guess is okay. Or if we're up front and there's a presentation on there, then they're just looking at both. I don't really need people to look at me. So what do we
What are you
need?
looking for? Is what I need
Well, that's
to
what we're kind of walking through this. The 65's on the side, facing the audience, right? So we have one here and one across the way.
They're facing half of the audience. They're midway back.
Okay. All right, so, and then the 48s or the 49s are gonna be big enough on the soffit to be able to see?
They were on the soffit in the front for the
Front.
first couple rows.
Okay. I guess that's fine. What do we have? We have 4 of those? That's what it says, 4.
Let's start again. There's 2 TVs on the front side.
Right,
There's going to be 2 TVs here, one facing the dais. This is what's proposed.
okay.
One facing the dais and one facing the middle back part of the courtroom, and the same side thing on the other side.
And there's
And then there's a
65?
TV in here. Yes.
Okay. But that's not what
Yes.
that's not what this quote says. So, it has 4 49s and 2 65s. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry, 2 of the 49s are on the soffits on the side.
right, so that's 2. And then you
No, there's
have
4. 2 on the front, 2 on the sides.
Yeah, that's going to be the worst part.
It's a lot. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
I don't think we should.
Can I say something? I mean, I'm all for technology, all right, but there's other important things here too. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something, the heat and air conditioning in this building is terrible. Are we looking into doing, like, really making this building back to where it should be? I mean, I get it that we're gonna increase the great technology of our meeting room, but, I mean, how about the heating and air that we're having a major issue in this building, like, when, in the summertime, it's hot as anything, but yet it could be cool down the other end. I mean, why don't we address other issues that are important as well? And I'm really serious, I like the technology idea, because I think we do need to do some of that. But we also have to look at upgrading some of the stuff in this building. I mean, even furniture, I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of the furniture here, we've never even replaced any of it because we've kept the budget down. So I'm gonna tell you, if you're gonna do stuff, there's some important stuff also to look at in this building besides just making this a beautiful technology place.
Okay, so,
So-
we're not talking about that right now. We're talking
I know.
about the technology right now.
Right.
So don't we have furniture on didn't we have furniture before that we were waiting until we fixed the roof? Didn't we have furniture in the
We bought
budget?
some furniture up front, and there's some chairs we're going to be buying.
Okay, so we do have furniture that we're
But
addressing.
this was just put together
Okay,
based on what they felt you needed for everybody in the public to be able to see the TV. But rather than going through this, tell me what you want, it's a lot easier.
so is this what they're talking about on the sides?
Yes.
Okay, and they're what size? 65s?
I believe they're 65s.
Well, there's only 2 65s in here, so it can't be.
Again,
Yeah.
tell me what you
So,
want, it's a lot easier than doing this.
I think that, I think we need 2 up front on the soffits, not 4.
There's not 4 on the soffits, but okay.
Okay, so,
There's not 4 on the front soffits.
okay, there's 2.
Should we walk into the courtroom and get a perspective so that everybody can
It might be easier, because you're gonna, well, we can't show you the TV, but we saw it with the TV.
Yeah, at least we
When
can
you
do
get
it.
mid-courtroom back, you cannot see this.
So do we need to have, don't we need just to have a TV that's facing the back half of the room, not the front and the back?
That's what they're doing.
All right,
And they're
so-
proposing having one face the dais on each side as well.
So it would be like this, one facing the back half of the room and one facing the dais, on each side.
Some of them are done with 65s and some of them are done with soffits.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd be more than happy to draft something up, or anybody, you want to draft something up, and I'd like them to have a diagram with this, because this is not helpful, in my opinion. I want to see what they're
Again,
proposing.
I think we need to tell us what we
Okay.
need, because otherwise we're gonna do this whole exercise again.
Right?
Yeah.
So, do we,
Can I go down a
Tyler?
different path real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Just real quick. I think the main concerns, my concerns are, one, is the video system we have. I think Jamie does a great job with it, but I know we talked about when we first implemented, getting something that's installed, that just works, there's no running around with this thing. So I know there's one camera's included, right, Jeff, for the courtroom. But my question is, can we, one, there's a piece of hardware you can buy for like $250 that will just go right in, where it'll stream it right to YouTube for us. You don't have to play with wires, it just works. You know, something sustainable. And you know, while we're doing that, I wanted to see if council wanted to just get a camera in here, so then there's no more, there's not two separate systems we're using. Everything's confined to one location. It's sustainable. It hopefully makes Jamie's life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And you know, that's one of my concerns. So I don't know if we can just add maybe a second thing, and then so that it streams right online for us.
So, great ideas, I think, and I also think that we need to diagram this out. This is talking about what's the 49s and what's the 65s.
I can, if we walk in there, I can tell you.
Can we do that? Will it record if we go in there?
The camera will not pick up everybody.
No.
So we get our new
do that
cameras in, we're going to be able to.
Let me explain it without interruption. There will be two on the front soffit, 49-inch TVs.
Right.
There will be two 65s facing the dais. One's for the courtroom that's required by the courtroom, but also will work for us. Two 65s that come out of the wall and flip there. And there'll be two more 49s on the side soffits for the back of the courtroom.
On the side soffits?
That's it.
Okay.
And one in here.
And the camera that the court uses, it will be built into one of these 65s? Or will that be a separate thing like it is now? There's got to be a camera, right, for them to see the court and the court to see the prisoners that don't go?
That whole system is built in. The actual, they spoke with the contractor who does the work.
Right.
That's in this quote.
It's all going to be built in, so it's.
Right, so I
It's the whole point,
don't see
sustainable.
which one is the one that shows, but, okay. So I would be happy to make a quick sketch, not here while we're all sitting here waiting, but I think we need to, again, this is a big investment, and it needs to be
Well,
right.
this isn't the capital budget, so it's not happening anytime soon. This was put
Right.
on so we could start discussions.
Well, we sure did.
Jeff, the only other thing is, for the video, can we have it pick up the audio, not from the camera itself, from the actual microphones that are set up, so you can actually hear it? One of the complaints we get with this system is, you know, it works, you have to have your computer all the way up, so maybe if we have to get a couple mics here or something, just so people can hear it. If we're gonna invest, you might as well work. Yeah, just something so, you know,
So
the
that's-
microphone's not halfway out in the audience.
Right.
I think, can't lose sight of the fact that no matter what's here, or what we design, it's not gonna be perfect for everybody in that room in every circumstance.
Correct.
So I think we need to do the best we can with a reasonable amount of money that's gonna work. And if people are season ticket holders, you like to say, I'll know where to sit if I need to see something or anything like that, and you figure it out. 'Cause-
I mean, you're right in respect that if people all sat at the front, there's no issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it really isn't, other than an absolutely chock-full meeting. And quite honestly, when they gave the presentation and said, what are you looking for? and we explain, can you see it from anywhere in the courtroom? That's what creates the whole sports bar look. It takes a lot of TVs to be able to see from the back of that courtroom, and that's where it gets, that's why we're bringing it to you. It's gonna look a little odd.
Yeah, it's not,
It's
you
okay.
can't
Looks over.
get fixated on it being perfect for every seat.
Do any of the options come with 3D glasses as well?
We can add that.
Will this tie into our
Right.
hearing
We'll have those
impaired
Yes.
system?
Those lounge
The
type.
existing one, or do we have a new, are we getting a new one?
It's in the-
We have it one meeting at a time, please. Wait, this will tie into our existing,
It's in here.
okay, it's in there, there's a new one, that's right. So,
Gary, while we're on live streaming, I know, I spoke with Jamie and Jeff, we're gonna eventually, hopefully, move over to YouTube because it's free, so we can stop paying live stream,
Right.
something we can do for free.
Sure.
Now, the live stream contract you had asked runs almost to the end of the year.
Yeah, so we'll wait.
And it's up to you guys when you want to move over.
I mean, if we pay for the
Good
whole
idea.
thing, right?
so,
And that's as long as YouTube can archive it?
They can, yeah, until YouTube charges us for it, I'm sure, 3 years down the road.
Gotta get you hooked first.
Yeah,
well, we could.
just a side note while we're speaking.
Right. So, I would like to, can we have them give us a description, or do we need to give them a description?
Well,
So they're gonna.
They've given us.
they've given you a
They've given
quote,
us,
and I,
they have not shown, we're going, so we're
if you want me to
having.
do a diagram, I'll do a diagram.
Okay,
I mean,
I'd like to see a diagram.
Can you call them and?
What?
Can you
I can call them
have a
and ask
conversation?
them to send me a diagram. So
I'll
here's
get a
what
diagram.
happens.
They're very helpful.
I see, because there's a lot of money and where it's going to be, I'd like to see a diagram. I'd like to see how they propose to do this. I happen to work in some sports bars, and I know what some of the pitfalls are. So I can see where the issues are, and where, when you have line of sight issues, and I don't see anything as to where it is. So if you or they can provide a diagram, then we can have
We'll
the
take
rest of
care
the
of that.
conversation afterwards. And for amplification, maybe it's just because it's a different world that they live in, and they have a 10-ton, 120-watt power amplifier, which is, I have headphones that are stronger than that. Do you know, it's a crazy price. I've just never heard of 10-ton brand amplifiers. Anybody here that's technical ever heard of that? So, not saying that they're not good, but, but I've just never heard of them. I've only been in the business for a while, but, other than that, the Samsung microphones are okay. They don't
Real quick.
indicate whether they're condenser mics or not condenser mics.
Do you have a recommendation of a power amp or something?
Crown is the best
Maybe
there
that's
is.
the crown. See if they carry crown.
On the gooseneck microphones, Jeff, if it's cost significantly more, I don't think we should do it, but did they recommend having like a mute, you know how some microphones have a mute option on them?
Yeah.
So there's, if you have 4 people in a meeting, you don't have 16 mics on that you're feeding back, so if that's something that's not
Manual.
significantly more, I think we should do that.
Okay.
But otherwise, if it's outrageous, probably not.
Again, because we're talking about, according to this, 16 microphones in the room. That's a heck of a
Yeah,
lot
just so
of
you have
mics
the
that are
mute,
wide open, right?
There's no reason to have the on.
And, what I've seen, let's stay away from, other than the wireless, obviously, anything that's battery operated, because that's always a challenge. And it would be great to have the microphones, when they're on, have that little red
Yeah.
light that circles them so that you know they're on. Right, so,
If we're gonna do it, we just wanna make sure it's done
Just
right.
want- don't
Well,
want
let
it,
me ask you another question. With these 16 mics, is it possible, is there any way you can do anti-interference, the...
Well, the new system will work, trust me,
That's
Yeah.
the thing that we want to make sure.
There is, we have that system, it's crazy. but,
Exactly.
I'm more concerned about feedback, and there is technology that has anti-feedback built in.
Hopefully that
Um,
should be. Maybe the mute thing will help, you don't have 16 mics live.
Exactly,
When you
and
have
that would
4
reduce
people
it,
talking,
yes.
you know, that's part of the problem.
You get the directional mic, but then nobody talks into the mic.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Well, and the condenser mics, sometimes they're gated, or they have a compression built in, so that people who don't, so that if there's not a lot of noise, they shut themselves off, and until someone's actually speaking, then they automatically open themselves up. Gated mics might be something we don't, I don't know. I don't know what,
That's good.
UAP, G2, DSP, auto microphone mixer, it's an 8x8, so that's, what, 8-channel or 16-channel stereo? I'm not familiar with this particular brand. And there's 2 of them, so I'm assuming one goes in here and one goes out there. So that's what I'd like to know. Because there's nothing like a list of stuff.
Why don't you give your questions and email them to Jeff?
I think that's an excellent idea. And I will do that, because I have both of them. Okay, so, but thank you for getting the conversation started, didn't mean to frustrate you.
No,
That's why we're here. Okay, so, next we have reports from our department heads. Anything, Chief? A report? Okay. Jamie, anything for us tonight? Jeff, anything for us tonight?
Actually, more of a question is, Jeff Warden, being involved in the cleanup, wants to know,
Yes.
you gave me feedback, did you get my email? Gary,
Mhm.
Jeff Warden?
Is he good? When do you
Well,
I'm gonna
he's
do
gonna
separate
call
one.
in
Okay.
on Wednesday, but he'll do a separate one if you
On
guys want.
Wednesday?
For him.
No.
He's available on Thursday morning,
Tom.
actually all day Thursday, so
Tom.
if you guys
So,
give me a time.
I mean, everybody can call in,
Tom.
but specifically Tom, because it's his ward.
Yeah,
so-
anybody else that wants to be involved, I'll.
Let me
I'll
just
work
get
it
some
in.
Context.
You wanna-
Yeah, let me
you wanna
just get
come
you up
and
to
get
speed.
together, won't be anything
So,
here?
hang on just a second. Yeah, so, for those folks not aware, so this is regard to the remediation that's being done as a second wave of remediation for the Water's Edge complex. Actually, it was, want to be part of my report that the group that's handling this, Jeff Wharton, that's our contact for the most part, is really doing a good job. He's keeping the residents informed. I know because I hear from the residents. He's keeping us informed, and he seems to be very careful as to not create a bigger issue than is by way of disturbance to their well-being. So he again wants to brief the members of council and the mayor on this, and I know that Tom has been in the loop the whole time because it's his ward, but anybody on council wants to be involved, and they've offered to do this independently. I was available tomorrow morning for after hours, and they opted for 8:30 tomorrow morning, either as a meeting or a go-to meeting. And I don't know that we've settled that. Last I gave them 2 options, and I'm waiting for email back.
So I'm trying to set up a meeting. Thursday or Friday.
This
Jeff is.
Thursday?
Thursday or Friday, I'm available both, and I'd like to do it in person with them, if you guys want to. So,
I could do a flexible schedule in the morning on Thursday and also Friday, so you can make something. I mean, I met Jeff, he came right to my house early one morning.
Right.
When I first got in the loop, so he's very accommodating. We came, we talked, and then we drove over to the site. They were starting some work, so he will be very accommodating. So if we want to meet him here, my house, your house.
Yeah, no, I want to have it here, because I also want Jeff there, so he's aware of what's going on, so.
That's fine.
You guys, if you guys want to come?
I can't Thursday, Friday today.
I had finals, so.
But tomorrow I could, but I can't Thursday,
Or
Friday.
maybe you want to
As
call
long
it
as some
one
council,
Saturday.
some is fine.
I can
just
send you
make
the
sure
call
that
information.
whichever meeting
Yeah, would you
we're gonna
check?
have, if there's
Certain
gonna
amount,
be a
right.
quorum, We would need to
8:30
comply with the
tomorrow morning.
Sunshine Act.
Right,
Okay.
so we can only have two at a time.
And you guys are together, we're
Right.
together.
Right, who's tomorrow morning?
I can do tomorrow morning.
Okay, so the two of us could do tomorrow morning, and two council, Ken is not an issue for the sunshine.
I can't be there, so
No, I
someone.
can't be there, so
So-
I'll
What
answer-
day? What day?
Thursday or Friday, we're gonna set it up for.
What time?
Probably, well, are you teaching both days?
No, I'm off, but I have a doctor's appointment in New Brunswick that I cannot
Which
miss on
day?
Friday.
Friday?
10 o'clock.
All right, so why don't we try to do it Thursday? Let me get back to you, we'll have Jeff send it out. We'll try to do it Thursday maybe sometime.
I could do it Friday, but it's in the afternoon.
Yeah, I can't unfortunately Friday afternoon, I have something else, but let's try to do, try to do it Thursday. Try to do it Thursday early even if we can.
Okay,
All right, and I'll Jeff put an email out to you guys.
okay.
Virginia, Tom and I.
Okay.
But you don't want to pick a time now, because this has been the hard part, to be honest with you. I've been
I-
back to him 5 times.
Okay.
I need.
I understand that,
I'll send you to go
unfortunately,
to.
I could probably do it in the morning.
Can you do 9 o'clock?
You want-
Yep.
Let's do 9 in the morning?
You don't wanna
Do
do
9?
He's in Pittsburgh.
9 o'clock,
Perfect.
So,
all right?
Now, it may be a conference call this time,
yeah,
because he's got a second person he wants in it.
Do we want to do the conference call like from this off, from here, we're all together, or?
It's up to you guys.
So he
You want
can
me to
do-
meet here at 9 anyhow,
Or
we'll
you
just
can
do it
be
here? Yeah,
We can do
let's do it here.
Again, just as a reminder, if
We already
somebody's
got-
gonna
yep.
telephonically participate, and it's more than 2 people, and you're that third telephonic member, again,
We're good.
Sunshine Act applies.
right, it won't
Thank
be.
you,
So Tyler's not involved right now on this one. So, there is a go-to-meeting, and I'll forward that to you for tomorrow morning's 8:30
You're gonna do it?
call.
Okay.
Do you have the 8:30 go-to-meeting call?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
if
forward-
you,
Well,
okay,
either way,
I'll-
it'll be, you either gotta do it tonight,
not yet.
or,
Well, I was gonna say, if you're gonna do it now, go ahead and do it,
I-
otherwise I'll do it when I get back in my
it's
office.
in my, yeah, okay, let's do that.
Whatever
Let
you
me
wanna
see
do.
if I have it, in my,
One of the reasons they wanna make sure you guys are aware is because there's gonna be like 100 notices go out.
right,
So just in case you get the phone calls.
let me just see if I can.
I'll just call you and get an update.
Yeah, I mean, we tried all last week to set this up, and his schedule kept on filling up.
You think Thursday and that'll work?
Yes.
I just sent it to your township.
I'll let me know. Yeah, just let me know.
See that you got it. So Ken Bird will be there as well as Jeff Warden, and you're there too?
Not tomorrow.
No, okay. Did you get that, Mike? Okay, all right, no worries. It's not something that's critical. Okay,
And second, just a reminder, Jake's Place build is coming up in 2 weeks.
right,
A week from this weekend, the May 3rd and 4th.
yeah.
4th and 5th.
I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Fourth and fifth,
Yeah,
Saturday,
the
Sunday.
main community stuff is the Saturday and Sunday.
Right, right. And the,
Bob Kennedy's aware of that, right?
He probably is, because he's been associated with them as well, but we better.
Yeah, I mean, if I can call too, because they're gonna be surveying out there on this Thursday, Friday, and Monday. So if he could pay attention this weekend, that they don't have people running through and knocking out stakes.
Yeah. We do have volunteers insurance. It's the only way really to cover this thing. Because we don't know who's coming. It's-
yeah, it's good to be safe. Is that it?
Yes.
Jim, anything for us tonight?
Just so, we're working on the road program for this upcoming year. We're hoping to have be ready to advertise in June. And last year's 2 contracts, Hartford Road and the road program, the contractor's been back working on punches work, and we're pretty much in a position to, we're just doing paperwork now, like maintenance bonds and stuff. So that should be closed out shortly. And I was gonna bring up Jake's Place, which
Okay, fair enough. Is that it?
yes, unless there's any questions.
Anybody have a question? Yeah, you got it, okay. Alan, anything?
Nothing too major except to inform council that the donated leave ordinance is moving along. I have a draft in Jeff's hands along with the zoning land use appeal repeal ordinance as well.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's go around the council, starting in Ward 2.
Well, I'd like to thank the chief, because with the vandalism problem over at Summerhill, they some extra patrols, I've seen them coming in and out back there. We had to close one of the parks because of vandalism, we had to fix it, so we appreciate that, chief. And other than that, that's it.
It's all good. Thanks.
No
Tyler?
report.
No report.
Thank you.
Virginia?
No report.
A report.
Wow. So the only thing I have is that I asked Jeff to have Jerry take a look at some of the benches on River Drive, as they're a little frayed, and see if there's any of that signage that needs to be updated or improved. So that's really all. Ken, you have anything for us?
I'm good.
No? Okay. So I ask for a motion to go into public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So motion carries. So we're in the public portion of our meeting. We typically will just go around the room because it's a small group. Tim, you have anything for us tonight?
How about that weather, man? No.
No? Okay. Anything for, no, you're observing only? No, nothing, nothing, nothing. Chief, you have a badge and a weapon, anything else you'd like to add? You're always welcome to comment. So seeing no one has any comments, I'll ask for a motion to come out of public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're back in our regular meeting. Unless someone has additional comment, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
You did there. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, and we are adjourned.